Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, put your feet up. It's time for the Other Three Amigos podcast with Declan McCormack, Wayne Mullins, and Dan.
Three lads, one podcast.
On this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast, stinging people with ticket prices and the state of the pitch. Are Stags a new market for the club? The FingerLickers review 10 players making their city debut who impressed the most. We hear directly from the toe tappers as we go to the WhatsApp line. And will we have any success in Ballybuffet? All this and more on this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast.
Welcome back to Toe Tap, Season 4, Episode 4, Episode 180 in total. I'm not sure let's shout over this. We are our award-winning podcast. A reminder, we're on Patreon, patreon.com/ToeTap. A reminder about our new tier packages on Patreon. I can stop shouting now. It's a €5 per month flat fee and €10 if you want to support the pod even further, but the same content. You get full access to all historical Toe Tap content, and thank you to all who joined last week. It keeps growing week on week. Thank you so much. A reminder, the €1, €2 and €3 tiers are now gone and those subscriptions are cancelled. Be sure to retweet the pod as it's so important to help us grow. And a reminder, we are proud sponsors of Jack Doherty's Boots. There's already €40 going to Marymount Hospice here in Cork. But I am delighted to be joined by my other two amigos. We're mixing things up a little this week, but Dickie, I'll come to you first. How are you getting on, sir? I said sir first, sorry.
As the song played, as the song said, I mean, everything's wonderful. Sunshine, lollipops, rainbows, everything couldn't be better. Could not be better.
I still didn't get that feeling being in the first division, but look, Wayne is on holidays. He took his annual leave from Toe Tap Towers this week. He's in London at the moment. Looking very cranky next to all the monuments, but we're delighted to be joined by John O'Sullivan. How are you getting on, John? It's our first pod together.
It is, Dan. It's lovely to see you, in real life and moving around rather than just a WhatsApp message here and there.
Not quite real life yet. It's still a poor enough all service we have, but we'll make do. Right, but first off, we're going to around the club. In our under-20 scene, the club announced that Stephen Birmingham has stepped down due to work and family reasons. And our under-14s, there's no results of these, not even on FAI Connect, but they played both Shamrock and Shells in the tournament on Friday, I believe. Our women's senior team, they announced the signing of Colleen Kennedy. She's played in Iceland and Sweden. John, what do you make of this appointment?
Really good. She's come out of the US, played in college over there, played in Sweden for a year before moving to the top flight in Iceland for a couple of years. It's a good appointment. It's exactly the type of player that we've been looking for. 27 years old, a lot of experience, and by all accounts in pre-season she's been doing really well, so all good. Continuing the lollipop, sunshine, rainbows.
Great stuff. And Trish Fenley-Hunt, appointed manager of the women's under-19 side. The club still haven't announced it, but everyone knows it with a month, so we're just going to go ahead and say it now. Hopefully our journalistic integrity won't be called into question this time.
Ooh.
We're going to go now. It's that time.
Tommy Watch with Ivan Draco on the Other Three Amigos podcast.
The ticket prices were the big talking point really on Friday afternoon/night. Michael O'Brien on Twitter says, charging €20 at the gate for adults entry. Heard so many people giving out about it on Friday night. If they expect big crowds this season, that will have to be addressed, in my opinion. So online, on Ticketco, I believe, I paid €15, tenner for senior and juvenile, and then it was €5 for a child. But then the walk-ups, it was €20 online, 15 for the senior/juvenile, and then tenner for a child. Lads, your thoughts on this one? There was people there outside the ticket hut waiting, like older gentlemen, and I was kind of half fit to tell them, like, lads, you do know it's changed tonight. John?
Yeah, look, I guess when the message went up, I suppose it went up quite late, and it's kind of hard for people to adapt to it then. But yeah, your thoughts really are for those people that might not be savvy online or, wouldn't be that he, wouldn't be that used to buying stuff online. So maybe, OAPs, things like that. But it was €15 walk up. I don't know how that relates to last year's prices, but yeah, it's 20 is the highest price in the division. I know you can buy them online, but we're a lot more expensive.
Is it the highest price in even the Premier Division? Like, who else is charging €20 for a ticket? Shamrock?
I don't know if they are, to be honest.
I checked it. Most of the Premier Division clubs are £20. A ticket this time around. Derry City are £19 sterling, whatever that now works out in terms of euros.
21.50.
Okay, so Shams, Waterford, Galway, Bowes were all £20 on Friday night. Bowes in one of their stands, I'm not sure which is which. They're 20 in one of the stands, and the other stand was 16 and 11, and it was free for kids in that stand then. But as I said, £20 across the board seems to be the pricing in the Premier Division. First Division, it's almost £15 across the board. Treaty were 12 on Friday night for their game, and you could bring kids for free for the £12, which was quite impressive. Bray have a number of family tickets where you can basically, it works out to the child as €3 on top of the price that you've paid. So they have like a grandfather can bring his say grandson or grandkids for a tenner for himself as a senior, and then €3 a head after that, so he could bring 3 grandkids and himself for £20 into the Carlisle grounds, Look, the issue isn't, I don't think the issue is our pricing per se. It's the walk up price. The online price is 15. It's the same as most of the clubs in the first division. The walk up price, and look, I arrived at the ground about 20 to 7. So I drove past the ground, and I actually put into the WhatsApp group just people everywhere. I was kind of shocked at how busy there was around the ground at that stage. And there was a lot of people queuing, as Dan said, for ticket huts, and you just knew this was going to be an issue. And as I was walking in, say 15 minutes later, you could hear people talking about it in their own groups and in their own conversation. It was £20. It was £20. I know a lot of the old age pensioners were upset by the £15.
They wouldn't have seen it on Twitter or where it was announced. They just wouldn't have known. And to be stung by that,
and that's the thing.
At the gate is tough.
Yeah, that's the thing. And look, the old age pensioners are the one group who won't be online. You can't say they won't all be online, but my mother's 73. She can't turn on a computer. She doesn't, and lots of people are the same. Well, she's actually, she'll be delighted. She's 76. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
She's like herself.
The point I'm making, is that people of that generation aren't online as such, and they're the ones who feel like that they're getting crucified because they were €5 2 years ago in the same division, and now they're 15 if they walk up, 10 online. I was going to say I'd do away with the walk-up prices if I were the club, and just €15 and that's it.
You could kind of understand, I suppose, if it was 16, 17, 17.50, all right, a bit awkward for change. I think as Wayne said in the group, but it's less of a steep decline as that €5. And I just don't really understand the move. But I suppose you trust that Dermot Usher, the businessman, that there's something behind it, but I don't particularly know what that is.
There would be a small cost associated with printing physical tickets to sell them on. But I think what the club probably missed a bit on it is when people are buying the tickets online, it's not so much the saving the money, it's avoiding the queues. It's the fact you can have it on your phone, you can scan it walking in the gate. So I don't know that people who are buying their tickets online are necessarily doing it for the less cost as opposed to getting into the ground that little bit easier, that little bit faster, because it does run quite smoothly when you have your ticket on the phone or whatever it is. But a lot of people seem to be discussing it on Friday night, and it was definitely
100% agree. If it's a big game, you're gonna want that paper ticket. I mean, well, if we ever do end up playing Bayern Munich again, there'll be some queue of lads waiting for that printed ticket. I'll be one of them, I tell you that.
That's true. Actually, there's some collectors out there. Yeah, you're right.
The women's season ticket was also announced today. It's €79, and the kids are free. So, lads, Decky, do you think this is a good value for money?
Yeah, I do. Fair play to the club. 80 quid for 10 home games, €8 pop. You can't complain for what's on offer. I did see somebody online say, does it, being funny, does it include your games in Bishopstown, or alluding to that movement to games and whatnot? And I think that is something I was going to say to bear in mind, but do you know what? It isn't really, because it's 80 quid. Do you know what I mean? You spend it on a night out easy, so I think it's good value.
When I was speaking to Danny a few weeks back, he said they will not be playing in Bishopstown this season at all.
I know, and we'll get to it later on, but the state of the pitch on Friday night at half time,
Shocking.
I mean, I know Danny is adamant that they won't, and that the MFA, and the FAI and everybody else will have to step up. But when you saw the state of the Turner's Cross pitch on Friday night, the first thought in my head was, the women are going to get crucified again this season. That was, and I hope I'm wrong, and I hope they do play all their games at Turner's Cross, and I know Danny is adamant that they will. It's hard to see it.
Could be wishful thinking in that department, but I suppose, look, kids free, that's a great initiative anyway, John, isn't it?
It is. It's the same pricing as it was last year, and the club also do like a physical season ticket as well. So last year I bought season ticket for myself and got one each for the 3 kids, but that was effectively free. We're just paying for the price of the card. So they all had their season tickets for the season. Last year we were gotten down to games, so it's smashing value if you've got kids, to be honest, that want to go to games. And a lot of the time it's a lovely environment to introduce kids to Turner's Cross and matches as well, because it's a little bit quieter typically, and there's always a lovely atmosphere around. But no, I think it's great value.
Oh, there is, and they all get photos with the players after and stuff. It's brilliant.
That's
But
brilliant.
Decky, when are the women's matches being held? There was something outside Turner's Cross the other day. I was a bit confused about it, to when I could actually go attend the match. I mean,
look, yeah, there was a great, you're some shit, sir. There was a great advert put up, Kira Senna on it, big, well done, fantastic. And unfortunately, the dates in it were wrong. It was pointed out to us. I got a message about it. I got a voice note about it via WhatsApp. And Eileen had also noticed it and produced a photograph and whatnot. So, look, it's just not good enough. And it's we always say the club, and the club was at fault. The club, they printed it, they put it up. I know they didn't physically put it up, but it was a mistake. I know it's an honest mistake, but still, it's a poor mistake when there's 5,500 people in Turner's Cross last Friday night, that the dates in the women's games are wrong, and there's just no getting away from it. And we're not looking to hammer anybody. We're not looking to go after people. The club made a mistake. They made an error. It will be corrected. Brilliant. I hope there's 5,500 there to see the corrected version. That's where the damage can be done, But look, it is what it is, and but this podcast is always going to point that kind of stuff out. And I saw some people online saying we're petty and we're vindictive. And look, it is what it is. We're always going to point these mistakes out because they're pointed out to us. As I said, I got a voicemail about it on WhatsApp. That was the first I knew of it. So look, I mean, that's where we are on these things. I'm afraid we're always going to point them out. Always.
and as Eileen said, look, it wouldn't happen in the men's team.
No, it wouldn't. No, obviously not.
Probably
Obviously
not. Yeah. The thing there, I think, though, is you've got the unfortunate thing is if that's an online ad or something like that, you whip it down, put it back up straight away. They just need to have a process probably within the club where there's 2 or 3 people signing off on anything that's permanent. Like, it's the same as if it was a mistake in the program. Once it's physically out there, it's much harder to correct it. And again, look, mistakes happen, and we know the staff in there are spread pretty thin, but look, a mistake. And look, I didn't even see it on Friday night, to be honest. It was only when I kind of heard about it in the WhatsApp group after that, it was after happening, But look, it is what it is, like he said.
Yeah, we're not looking to hammer anyone, but
No,
I think the staff in there just need more help. It's honestly what it comes down to. Sonis, they were announced as the new backup shirt sponsor, but listeners to last week's pod knew this information already. There was quite a bit made about a certain stag from England that came over. Are they the new target audience, the new target market for Cork City this season, Decky?
There should be. They're one of the areas that should be. I mean, people have spoken about this for 10 years, and so summer football here, obviously it happens at a time when there's no football in England, and there's no football in Scotland, and no football in a lot of the continent. It should be something, not just Cork City. The FAI and the League of Ireland should be marketing the league to British and European customers and saying, look, you have no football at the moment. Why don't you come to Ireland? Don't go to Dublin, but come to Galway or come to Sligo or come to Cork and have a weekend and maybe have your stag party or, your reunion or your work outing or your whatever it might be, and taking a game of football on a Friday night and enjoy yourselves. And there's a huge market out there for football tourism. I mean, it's something Ireland should understand pretty well, because we're probably the biggest, or one of the biggest countries users of football tourism. How many people leave this country every weekend to go to games in England, and no more so, or it's happening more that people are going to the continent to games as well. So we should be looking to do that in reverse and bring people in here. And anything that's put in place that does that is to be applauded and supported.
John, agree?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, summer football is a huge selling point, and like even you had someone like Blair McNally on the pod. It was the last year, the year before. You've got these lads on YouTube who are, ground hopping, and almost doing the adverts for you. But
they're looking for things during summer, like that time, because they're so quiet everywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see any group in. I suppose the thing is, once they're, you have to have someone running it if you're going to make a job of it, making sure that once they're in, everything's done right. But yeah, no, look, I thought if that was an initiative by the club to get someone over or to advertise stags or whatever it was, yeah, it looks a brilliant move. There'd be quieter days in the cross than there were on a Friday night, and having stag parties, if it adds an extra few quid into the kitty, all positive.
Toe tap. Lads, we were mentioned on national / international radio during the week. Shane Keegan spoke about us on Off the Ball while we were lamenting the lack of a 9, Decky. What did you think when you heard about this one?
First thought was we might have been a bit hasty in lamenting the lack of a 9, having watched Nathan Wood on Turner's Cross the night before, to be honest with you. But actually, look, I mean, Shane's a big fan of the pod. It's nice to hear him mention us. Johnny Ward is also there, bigging us up. What did he call us? Great guys, was it? A great bunch of lads. Like we were in an episode of Father Ted or something, Yeah. So look, fair play. It's always, it's always nice to get mentioned. Always nice to be to the forefront of important people's thoughts.
The first episode of the Rebel Army podcast came out. Lads, did you give this one a listen? John, let's start with you.
Yeah, I did. Thought it was quite good, to be honest. I mean, look, I know there was a bit of criticism and stuff of it, but like the first time you do anything, whether it's a podcast or a book or whatever else, anything at all, is going to be a few things to iron out. But no, I thought that the interview with Tim Clancy was very good, very interesting. Learned a lot of stuff that I didn't know about him. And like we kind of were saying in the pod earlier in the year, like there wasn't a great amount of content out there, and you need the manager and the players to be known as well. So look, I thought it was quite good. I'll be straight. I didn't listen for very much to Brian O'Sullivan on the Zoo's packaging part of the podcast, but at the same time, that's a great thing to be able to offer to a sponsor by the club. Totally. Look, we'll get your name out there, and I listened to a bit of it, and look, if nothing else, I know who Brian O'Sullivan is now, and I didn't before the pod. I thought it was quite good, and Stephen was quite correct in how Corky the cheetah became a cheetah, because I was the chairman at the time.
When it was been a red panda, lads.
Should have been a red panda, I'm telling you. That was my idea, but he cut it down. Red pandas, I'm telling you, they're so cute.
They're the best animal. Decky, what did you make of the pod?
No comment.
No comment?
No comment.
Okay, fair enough. I just thought the toe tappers might be interested. They might see it as a cop out that the toe tap crew aren't speaking about it.
No, it's not a podcast. But what good can come of me saying anything about the podcast, Dan? Like, genuinely, and I mean it, like nothing. Because if I say 20 positive things about it and I say one negative thing, the one negative thing is going to be picked up on and I'm going to be slapped around with it again. So, look, I think personally, for me, I'm not saying Scotty will take the same positioning. I'm not saying Eileen will take. John is happy to speak about it. Genuinely, I can't see any benefit to me. I listened to it. Fundamentally, I enjoyed it, but like I'm not going to comment on it week after week. I would reference it and things like, "Oh, I heard Tim Clancy say this," or I think, but no, not for me. Not for me. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's the right thing to do. And if people think I'm cocked
I
out,
had to put it in. Yeah.
then that's they're entitled to think that. But no.
No, I had to at least mention it anyway, because people would say you didn't even mention it or acknowledge it. I think that's probably
no, of course,
even worse. I listened to it. I honestly didn't listen to all of it. Listened to 20 minutes, got a bit bored and left. But I thought it was decent for their first try, especially, to be honest. And Howie and Stephen did a good job, but just maybe not for me, and it might not be for a lot of City fans. But fair play to the lads, and long may it continue. We go to the Kerry review now. The FingerLickers, KFC, City 2, Kerry 0. Jack Doherty, he got the brace. 2 well taken goals by the man. In fairness, 10 players made their City debuts. Keane Coleman was the only one not making his. Sean, I'll come to you first here. What did you make of the game?
Listen, all positive, really. Brilliant crowd in, good crowd down from Kerry. 99% of it was great. The few things that you might take issue with, I wouldn't worry about too much. I thought Aaron Healy was excellent, Colin Sullivan brilliant, Matt Kiernan really good, and they're all young lads coming through. Jack Doherty was outstanding, took both goals brilliantly. Second goal was lovely, and looked like Decky mentioned earlier on. We were talking about maybe not having a 9. Nathan Wood was absolutely brilliant up there. I do think, like, when he was pulling out to the right in the second half, he put a couple of fantastic balls into the box. So he can obviously play in a number of positions. But yeah, it was really good. Few little bits and pieces that probably aren't really worth picking up on too much. But I don't think we created that many chances in the second half. But we were well on top, well in control. Tougher tests to come.
It was coast home mode at that point. But how good is it, John, to finally have a shithouse in the squad? We've been crying out for it all last season, and Nathan Wood giving that little wink to the shed and everything. He's going to be some man for us over the season.
It was as good a debut really as he could have had without scoring. He was getting absolutely wrapped up by the Kerry defence every time the ball went up to him high. Great feet, put Jack in for the second goal. Moved about really, really well. And like the way we played, and with him being a target man, I think it was kind of, as Decky said last week, 4-2-3-1, with Evan and Carl playing out wide and Jack in behind. Like he was excellent, really, really good, and he's a beast. Like, he's going to be very popular if he keeps that up.
I think so. Decky, your general thoughts on the game?
Yeah, look, I mean, it was a good performance, good result. I think I'm never going to change my opinion that we're undercooked coming in from pre-season, and I think this was almost like another pre-season game, with no disrespect to Kerry. But once we got 2-0 up, we knew that they could never really hurt us. We were never under any real pressure. And I feel like if that game was played in 4 months' time, we could go and win it 6 or 7-0. But we it's not that we didn't bother or we didn't try, but Jack Doherty mentioned that afterwards, that you get 2-0 up and it's first game of the season, and you know in your heart and soul they don't have the ability to come back into the game against you, and you do kind of see the game out. And I think, as I said it last week, I think the fixture list was kind to us with Kerry at home first, because nobody would convince me that we were where we needed to be coming out of pre-season, and that's okay because we got this game and we got it in our legs. What's coming the next 2 games are going to give us a far better indication of
Mm-hmm.
where we are and what way this season is likely to go. I think there was some areas of concern. As John said, we didn't create anything in the second half. We only had 10 shots at goal in the whole game, as dominant and all as we were. I thought that, I thought our attacking play lacked some definitive cutting edge at times, but I think also that will come as the weeks, move on and players become more used to each other and things like that. And the one thing that we didn't have last year was actually what won us the game, and that was a bit of genuine standout quality on the pitch in the form of Jack Doherty. We had quality on the pitch last year in Rory Keating and other players, but they were never standout quality in that, say, the St. Pat's team or the Rovers team or Bows or whoever had players as equally as good. This year, and Sean Murray was the other one I wanted to mention as well. Sean Murray he just meandered around the pitch. It was just like in absolute and total control of what was going on. And it was more experience than anything else. He just knew where to be and when to be there. And he tidied it up. And you got to remember, he was playing a different kind of a role, playing that 6. Shane Keegan has told us he was an 8 and a goal scoring 8 and a goal scoring 10 in his previous lives. But I thought it was very encouraging to see the way he did play that 6 role the other night. As I said, it was pure experience. He just knew what he needed to do and when he needed to do it. And he never looked like he was out of second gear. And I think that's a very encouraging sign as well, because obviously as he gets fitter and he gets more of a license to go forward, if Greg was in the side or whatnot, he can exploit that ability that he clearly has to just, maybe it's because he's probably so much better than the players that he's playing against, and he just has, things seem to move at a much slower pace for him, so it just allows him to position himself and see the pitch and see the situations develop as they do. So I'm looking forward to seeing more Sean. Obviously Nathan Wood did very well. I spoke about that, all his profile said he was a winger and whatnot, but look, that's why Tim Clancy's the manager of Cork City and I'm the fat guy in the podcast. It's because Tim has the ability to see, things in players that, okay, maybe he is a winger, but I know I can put him up there and play him as a back to goal 9, and he's a bit of a shithouse, and he's going to get the fans on his back or on his side, and they're going to love him, and they're all going to buy into him, and he'll generate this atmosphere around himself. And look, he was very good, but I'm not going to come on here every week and say it's the first division, because that will just suck the soul out of everything. It was a good performance, but Kerry are a poor side. And as I keep saying, next week, Harps away and then UCD at home will give us a much clearer indication of where we are as a team and where we are as individual players.
Yeah, you mean Kerry one win in 28 or 29 games, something like that. So look, I think much tougher tests to come. But Tim also put his faith in the young lads. Matthew Kiernan at 17, Aaron Healy at 18, Cathal O'Sullivan at 16, and Jaden Uma then coming on at just 15 years old. 15 years old, lads. How good are these lads going to be? Decky.
Yeah, it's frightening. Tim had name dropped Cathal O'Sullivan so often during pre-season that there was an expectation around what we were going to see from him, and geez, he didn't disappoint, to be fair.
Oh my God.
And you got to remember, he was played out of position. He was played on the right. Carl's a central midfield player, and you could see at times when he ended up in the centre, he came alive, he dropped his shoulder, he beat a player, he broke the line, when he's not going to play out on the right and beat a full back and get a cross in. I don't think he's that kind of player. But when he ends up playing in the middle of the park on a permanent basis for us, Jesus Christ, lads, he genuinely could be anything, and I know I've said Kerry were a poor side and whatnot, but you can see in him, you could see the speed of thought, how he saw the game around him, how he knew where he needed and what he needed to do. And look, we've produced some very good players down through the years, but Cathal does have the ability to maybe surpass all those players in the years to come. But it's funny, like I was driving home Friday night and I was thinking, what was I doing on a Friday night when I was 16? And most of them I was trying to get into the keg or somewhere with a fake ID, like, you know. Like these guys are playing pro football in front of 5,500 people. Like it's a different world, and they deserve every credit for the performances that they put in. All of them.
If that Uma bicycle kick goes in, holy shit!
Stop.
Yeah, would have been incredible.
John, are you looking forward to seeing Cathal O'Sullivan in a permanently in midfield?
Yeah, oh no, he was being built up, and like Decky said, he didn't disappoint. Like I even put it into the WhatsApp group before the game, and this is like pure afters, like when you're betting, but when they were warming up and they were doing their little tight control, quick passing, put up in the group like Cathal O'Sullivan is the best player we have. He was unbelievable, like even small little things under pressure, he's so comfortable on the ball, and he just carried that into the game. He was able to take a player on, but look, I'd agree with Decky. There was times in the second half where he moved into the centre and it actually left a load of space out on the right side for Nevin to fill into as well. Yeah. And we actually really started getting forward there, but he was picking passes and he seems to have an almost uncanny knowledge of where Jack is going to be as well around there. Like if the two of them are playing together, and interchanging passes or exchanging passes, they're just unreal. But look, he's the last player I saw, to be honest, that looked that good in that kind of environment. I remember watching Joe Gamble a long time ago at 16, 17 against Wolves, and he's the last player I can think of that had that kind of just automatically looked to be in the right place at that kind of age. He's unreal. Yeah. But I think Cathal probably is even more about him, to be honest.
He was man of the match for me. I know Jack got the 2 goals, but he was the one who really stood out to me.
He was unreal.
And by the way, Nevin at right back was absolutely incredible as well. I forgot to give him a mention there.
Yeah, only 19 as well. I do think he probably, I think he did benefit from having Keane inside him a little bit. Going for, like, Tim obviously wants the 2 fullbacks to play really, really high. The first half, Nevin and Kieran were pushed on, really, really advanced. And then Aaron Healy was dropping in a little bit in front of them, and covering off. But I don't know if they'll have the same ability to get that far forward and, risk getting back in time against better players. But I thought overall the way we set up was for the opposition we had and for the players that were out injured, and to Decky's point, for the lack of a pre-season, I don't think you could really have asked for much more on Friday night.
Yeah, but Bulger, sure, he'll bring some serious impetus with him when he comes back. Yeah. Great to see a shithouse in Woods, but also great to see Tim Clancy showing some aggression on the sideline. He got stuck into poor old Conor McCarthy at Kerry at one stage as well. Decky, good to see on the sideline for once.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've had a quiet sideline with 2 or 3 years now, to be fair, and like it wasn't just Conor McCarthy got it; it was the 4th official was getting it all night as well, and you want to let them know we're around. I mean, Nathan Wood gave the linesman on the Donny Ford side an absolute battering of a mouthful soon after half time because he didn't agree with an offside call. Now, I don't know whether Nathan was offside or not. He obviously didn't think he wasn't. But like, he went back to it 3 or 4 times. Like 60 seconds later, 2 minutes later, he turned around and threw another volley his way. And it's like, we spoke about this previously. We didn't have players who kind of had that in them, and it might make no difference. But some night, somewhere, there will be a linesman who won't put up the flag the second time because he took such a battering from Wood the first time, and Wood will score, and there'll be a commentator on LOI TV going, "Oh my God, he's a yard and a half offside. How did they not put up the flag?" Well, he didn't put up the flag because Nathan Wood scared the living shit out of him the last time he put it up, and he just decided he wasn't going to put it up against them anymore. And as I said, they're the small things, the small percentages that can be between winning and losing a game. And Tim was on the 4th official. Even. He was, exactly. And he was on the 4th official, and he was, and he's right. And, coming to Turner's Cross should not be an enjoyable experience for anybody, bar the fans and the Cork City players and management. It shouldn't be an enjoyable experience for the officials. It shouldn't be an enjoyable experience for the opposition. And because it's not an enjoyable experience for the opposition, it shouldn't be an enjoyable experience for their fans either, because they should go home having been well beaten every time. And it's a while since Turner's Cross was a genuine bear pit. You know, it's been 3 or 4 seasons, if not longer, since the Cross was a genuine, difficult place for teams to come and play football. And I hope that Tim Clancy's attitude and go get them kind of style on the sideline, and I hope the likes of Nathan Wood and, you know, Greg when he comes back, and Jack Doherty has a bit of, you know, you said the shit house, Dan, you know, but he does have a bit of, like, he got booked there, and I was half expecting to see the red card come out, to be honest with you, you know.
Needlessly, like, what was he doing?
Yeah, you know.
Boy, I thought it was a red, Jack, to be honest.
Like, you know, so, like, we weren't afraid to leave a foot in, and, you know, Sean Murray is a big, strong lad, and as I said, he just kind of marauded around the middle of the pitch, but I've no doubt that some night he'll give some fella a kick and a flake around the back of the head as well to keep a fella in line, like, you know. So, like, I hope we turn the Cross back into the bear pit that it once was, because that element has been missing for a few years now, to be honest, you know.
Henry Heffernan comes in and says, the state of the pitch and the price of an adult ticket for a pitch that was not played on for 3 months, it was appalling. €20 is very steep. You would think with playing in the first division, they would have lowered the price. Much of what we said earlier, do you think the state of the pitch is going to be a problem throughout the season, Decky, or is it just going to be affecting the women's side? Let's face it.
No, I think it's a massive problem. I think already it's a massive issue. Jack Doherty referenced it in 2 separate media interviews on Friday night after the game, that the pitch was heavy and it felt heavy. Cove Ramblers play there next Friday night. Then we have UCD. Cove are playing, so there's 6 weeks in a row where there's a game on the Friday night. On the 9th of March, so Cove are playing there on the 8th of March. Our ladies team, our women's team, are due to kick off their league campaign the following day on the Saturday against Piedmont. So there's 2 games that weekend. We're then at home again the following Friday night. Then our women's team are away 2 weeks running, and then Cove should be finished there. But the pitch isn't going to get a break between now and the end of March. And I just don't see it holding up. I mean, it had... No, I know nothing about horticulture, right? I know I'm living in the country and I could milk a cow and drive a tractor, but I don't know anything about, you know, growing grass of any description, it should be said. And, you know, I don't know the issues and the hardships involved in that, but it just didn't look... At half time, you could see it was cutting up so badly. That was after 45 minutes of football. Lads, this pitch hasn't a hope in hell of standing up to the rigors of a season, because you've got to remember, you have your, you know, your local Munster, you know, Munster Senior League, you know, the cup finals and all those games are all there to be played there as well. And I don't know what work hasn't been done in it. I mean, there was lovely photographs went up on Twitter on Friday and we all thought, oh, whoa, look, the pitch looks amazing and whatnot, but it wasn't. And, like, what I'm told is that pitches are about day-to-day care, and if you bring in a contractor a couple of days before the League of Ireland season starts and they cut it lovely and they make it look beautiful and you can take lovely photographs, that's fine. But if you're not doing the day-to-day graft and work on it, you're not repairing it. And the MFA will be after me now again. But to be honest, it didn't look like it had the necessary work done on it. And somebody said that there was due to be a crossbar challenge at halftime, and that was called off because the MFA insisted that the pitch wasn't up to it. So they didn't want it on the pitch. So, like, for
a shagging crossbar challenge.
Yeah, that's what I was told. I cannot stand over that and verify it in any way.
Even at the start, you know, before the game as well, though, they had the goal post, the goal mouths covered off, pegged
closed off, yeah.
So that, so people couldn't actually go into those areas. So the goalkeepers were doing their warm up on the other goals to the side. but even the shooting drill at the end was done to the goalpost to the side. No one went near the penalty boxes, before the game started. But like I do think Decky's point there, like it's not just City, Cove, and the City women's team that are going to be playing there over the next couple of months. Like Munster Youth finals, Interleague finals, all these are going to start picking up once we hit the start of March, and that like there's something like between, I think in the month of April, Turner's Cross holds something like 40 games. There's 2 a day. For most of the month, yeah, like because all the Cork, Munster, all ages, all grades finals, like some of them will only be under 12 games, under 13 games, but it takes a huge amount of traffic.
Still, Jesus.
And it's not going to get a chance to rest. Like I know, look, the other side of it is the weather. This winter has been brutal. It's very hard to keep pitches going, but at the same time, sit here paying a huge rent, I'd imagine. But
it is now time for the most prestigious award in world football. It is your TOTAP MVP. We had 465 votes. This was our biggest ever voting figure, except for when all the Bargeries vote. The results, Jack Doherty came in at 66%, Cathal O'Sullivan came in at 27%, Nathan Wood 5%, and Aaron Healy was at 3%. And you know what? We're going to go straight into our brand new segment for this year. We're going to go 2-word answer this year because the penny for your thoughts thing, there was so many of them coming in, it was getting impossible to read them all out. So hopefully this will be a bit snappier. Irish Football Blog says, routine victory, Republic of Ireland player tracker, Cathal O'Sullivan. Oh, there's about 7 words. Cathal O'Sullivan looks to be a real gem for yous. Kyle Williams, Case Swilly, and buzzing. Fiona C says expensive boots. Stephen Burke says jacking off. Joshua Kelly, invincible season. Dan! Are you trying to get my attention?
Dan, do me one favour, right? 2 words means 2 words. Anybody who sent in a half an essay or 3 words or 1 word or one, don't read them. 2 words is 2 words. We read the 2 words and that's it. In my opinion.
Wayne Mullins comes in, sublime debut. Conor Macca, jacking off. Billy Dorney, effing magic. Cian Higgins, jacking off. Duncan Noonan, top scorer. Anthony O'Sullivan, Decky's calluses. Shirts on the wall, Decky's wrist. Boring Cian Coleman, young boys. Sean O'Malley, sexy foot. I think they're all aimed at you, Decky. Garrett, more excitement than a fart Barry, says 5,500. Anthony Falvey, TOTAP bankrupt. Jack Keller, Cathal O'Sullivan, Dylan going up, Cork M. Oh yeah, we're not reading his. It's about 20 words on that. James Greenham, First Division, yawny emoji, 3 maybe. We'll give it some. David Crowley, good start. Jack Cathal O'Sullivan, Roy O'Sullivan, Jackie's boots, Dylan inbred langers, Kevin O'Connell prediction right, Tony Daly, good start. Alex, Jack Doherty, Sean, brilliant. Ben O'Donovan, 6 fingers. Owen Donovan, lackluster performance. Gerard Tuig, Decky's fapping. The Donny Ford Ultra Mega Sergeant Platoon, quite promising. Larkin Owens, great start. Reverend Doctor going up. Zach Daly, good start. Roseberry, fantastic. Inky Ink, early days. Colin, goals in the bank. Philly Crowley, 2 halves. The uninvited guest, Darty Goat. Nate Boy, Darty, fantastic. Topper, no sausages. Mike McCarthy going up. Youthful men, says Tommy Carney. Eagle O'Piggle, Division Champs. Connor Buckley, sexy football. Tony, ticket prices. Ben F. Library. Ado, I don't know, a soccer shite. And there's more replies, lads, but it's taken more than penny for your thoughts, I would actually say.
Dan, I have to say, witnessing that was really, really impressive. Like, just to see it done live was,
So, for the first time ever, we allowed the TOTAPers to WhatsApp us voice notes. Now, we don't censor people here on TOTAP. That's a slight lie, as if you're just sending voice notes in telling us players are straight up shit for no reason, we're not going to play in those, which actually did happen. So keep that in mind when you're sending them in. And don't forget to send us your messages and voice notes. Write this number down now. 089 452 7762. That's our WhatsApp number to reach us at any time when the mood so strikes. Decky, you have a few of these WhatsApps lined up.
I'm going to play the audio there. Can I just say that we got lots of messages as well, and at least 90% of those messages pertained to either me having a repetitive strain injury again, to people inquiring how my hands were after Friday night, to inquiries about jacking off in the Donny Ford. I appreciate everybody's concern, and yes, I did have a good night Friday night. I thought, it was nice to see Jack show up 2 years after I first brought the idea up, and to see him get a brace on his debut made me really, really happy. So I do thank everybody for their concern and inquiries as to my well-being. We were trying to come up with, what we're going to call this section. And, this was another thing. If you drop us a WhatsApp voicemail, then we own that voicemail and we can do anything we want with it. And somebody dropped us a WhatsApp voicemail, and in their honor, we have now called this whole WhatsApp section, You Say It Best.
You say it best when you leave a voice note.
That sounds like Cupid.
It's a friend of the pod. I mean, look, a stranger, but they left us a voice note, and we've taken that voice note, and we have
came from North Pole.
Kristen, the whole section, You Say It Best, because it's actually fitting, it's actually fitting. So, look, these are some of the messages that we got in anyway.
Hello, you are through to Toe Tap Towers. Sorry, we can't take your call right now, but please leave us a voice note and we will play it on our podcast. Thank you.
Cork City are going to beat Kerry 3-0 tomorrow. We'll win the first division because it's shit. Wexford will come second and they'll go up too. Jacking off with Decky. Jacking off, I say. Jacking off with Decky. Playing football the Clancy way.
What a fucking win. That Matthew Kieran at left back, generational talent.
He's something else. I'm telling you. Left back, 17, first start, clean sheet. F*** me, what a man.
He had that Kerry winger in a chokehold.
Couldn't get past him for shit. Matthew Kiernan, I'm telling you, one to remember.
Matthew Kiernan is the future of Cork City FC. Thank you very much.
What a f***ing crowd here for the first game of the season. Jesus. Kick-off will start. Hopefully the match is just as good as the crowd is. This is the boy Barry. Good luck. You're going to have to increase the Patreon prices there for Jack Doherty because he's going to go score some effective goals.
Wow. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks to all the contributors there. I think this is only going to grow and grow.
Hopefully, all I've taken from it, right, is the two lads in the middle there with Matt Kiernan as the future of Cork City. Those two lads, whoever they are, I think they have massive potential to be WhatsApp regulars on a weekly basis, and we
should start taking live callers.
Yeah, there's a part of it that sounds like they got lost in their way to Musgrave Park and actually ended up in the wrong stadium. But it's fantastic, and I actually had to cut out some of it because, as I said, we're not going to abuse people either. But as I said, they do have potential to maybe be something.
And that was.
You say it best when you leave a voice note.
And that concludes half for our first half Toe Tap. Come back to us in half two, where we're going to have the Finn Harps preview as well. We're going to have a route around our mailbag. Come back in part two.
The new Cork Business League, no longer the Shipping League, season starts on 16th of July, and Cork Business League, no longer the Shipping League, will be educating teams and players about workplace well-being throughout the season. If you would like to enter a new team in the Cork Business League, no longer the Shipping League, just search Cork Business League, no longer the Shipping League, on social media platforms and follow the steps from there.
Back to part 2 toe tap for Friday the 23rd of February. City take on Finn Harps in Ballybofey. Who starts? Who's dropped? Is anyone dropped? John O'Sullivan.
I suppose it depends on who's available to come in. But no, I'd say the team possibly stays as is. I know Matthew Murray will be back from international duty, and I know Decky tipped him last week to possibly start. But no, I think keep a winning team together if you can. Obviously, it depends on likes of Greg Bulger if he's available. But yeah, I'd be happy enough with the same 11 started. Be a different test though.
Decky, do you think that 11 is good enough to get a win up in Ballybofey?
They'll have to up the performance from last Friday night, but they know that. Tim Clancy speaking afterwards was well aware of that they won the game against the opposition that was put in front of them. It's a level, maybe 2 levels required against Finn Harps on Friday night. Obviously, people will know at this stage that Harps went to Longford on Saturday night. They were 2-0 down, got back, won the game 3-2. So we know they have 2 things. They're going to have confidence, and they obviously have massive character.
So they lost, didn't they?
No, they won 3-2.
They were 2-0 up.
No, that was Longford. Longford were 2-0 up, and Finn Harps came back and beat them 3-2.
I was thinking of that lawn for some reason. Sorry, I see the top of the table there.
Yeah. So, Harps will have character and confidence about them. Success Edugan is a good player. Like most players playing First Division in Ireland, he's lacked consistency. That's been his massive downfall. But I remember him playing for Treaty United. It was August 2022. They beat us 2-0 in Turner's Cross. No, was that a bank holiday Monday? Now that I think about it, was it a 5 o'clock kickoff or something? But they came down and they beat us, and we were well on our way to promotion at that stage. And he destroyed us that day. And he destroyed, that was Cian Coleman and Ali Gilchrist back there, and with experienced fullbacks either side of them. If Success is on his game on Friday night and fancies it, he could cause us massive problems. He scored and had an assist for them in Longford on Saturday night. So I think there are issues there that we're going to have to deal with. I don't know how Finn Harps are going to approach the game. If I'm in Finn Harps camp, I'm saying especially to Success, at times, forget about battling it out with the centre halves. Pull out in Harry Nevin. Pull out in Matt Kiernan. Matt Kiernan, we discussed this on Friday night, John, we're actually a physically small side, Dan. We don't have a lot of height about us, and Success is a big, tall, strong man, and if he pulls over onto Matt Kiernan, the height difference there is massive, is substantial, so I could see Harps doing things like that, whereby they tell him to pull out left and pull out right on Harry Nevin and hit diagonal balls for him, knowing he's most likely, and then try and get runners coming from midfield off him. So I think they have potential to cause us an awful lot of problems. And then it's up to Tim Clancy to identify what those problems might be, and for our coaching staff to come up with a game plan in a way of dealing what they expect Harps to throw at us.
Great Success. Had to be done. If only I was Shreen and that one had a little thing there. But John, your prediction?
To be honest, I'd probably take a draw. The one thing that I did notice on Friday night, and I think Finn Harps, if I was the Finn Harps management team, I'd be looking at how we set up from corners. We left Cian Coleman just standing kind of in a free role. But we were outnumbered at the edge of the box. I think if we give someone like Success Erdogan and some of the lads, if we give them a run on the ball, and if there's good deliveries in, and Finn Harps are going to be well marshalled in set pieces. I worried about that setup. It looked kind of almost like kind of a zonal setup. And again, physically and up in Ballybofey, it's a long journey. The prep has to be right, even in going up there. But yeah, I think it's one of those you probably could do with like a player like Conor Drynan having more minutes under his belt for the physical side of it. I'm wary of it, but then I'm wary of every game. I was wary last week as well before the Kerry game, and look how that turned out. So hopefully I'm just overly pessimistic.
Give us a score prediction.
1-1.
1-1. Okay. Decky.
I miss Scotty at times like this because if Scotty was here, John, not that I don't want John here, sorry, this is going to sound off, but John wouldn't be here, and I would have been saying exactly what John said there. I'd probably take a draw, I'd go for 1-1, and Scotty would be roaring into the microphone.
This is
fucking draw against Harps.
So far.
Yeah. We're Cork City. You can't. Do you hear what you're saying? You can't be going on like that. But I agree with John. I think we're such a young side. And it's hard to see Greg coming back into that side. You know, he doesn't have minutes, and he has no minutes in the tank yet, and it's hard to see him coming back in. There isn't any real experience to come back into the side. So, like, he might start Barry Coffey maybe instead of Aaron Healy. Not any reflection. I thought Aaron Healy was very good the other night, but as John has mentioned, Harps are going to be physical. They're going to be a tough side to play against up there. It's also their first home game of the season. They've had a brilliant win away in Longford. That's going to put bums on seats as well. People are going to say, do you know what? No, they were 2 down. They won 3-2. Your man's success at a good game. And it's Cork City, the biggest team in the league. This is a game I want to go see. First home game. So they could have quite a big crowd there as well. And I think there's lots for us to overcome. But I'd be confident that we can It's a great test. It's a great test early in the season to see exactly where you are. It's a fantastic. And then you have UCD in town the following week. They're two big games. But I would say of the first round of games, this is the toughest game by far that we have, because we're home to UCD, we're home to Bray. We're nobody else really. We're away to Wexford, but they were demolishing that loan the other night already. So I think this is the toughest game of the 9 games of the opening series. So I think I agree with John. I think I would take a point. I'm not going there looking for a point, but I think I would take a point.
I unfortunately agree.
Scotty wouldn't.
No.
I would say Scotty wouldn't though.
You definitely get the sense those boys are going to be going for young lads, not to be taken out of context, obviously.
Well, it can happen, and okay, you saw it the other night when your man poleaxed Jack Doherty. He made no. I know Jack had a poor tackle himself, but that was just a revenge tackle from your man. It was I don't care where the ball is, I don't care. I'm just kicking across you, and that's it. 100%. And yes, there's going to be plenty of that. There's going to be plenty of that, not just in Ballybuffet, but there's going to be plenty of it across the season. And it's something that we have to get used to in this division. But the other side of it is, if we weren't in this division and we were still in the Premier Division, then you wouldn't be seeing Cathal O'Sullivan, Aaron Healy, Matt Kiernan starting together on a Friday night in Turner's Cross either, So, there's give and take, and I take a point. I'm not going there looking for one. I'm going there looking for the 3. But if the performance isn't a level or 2 up from what we saw Friday night, we will come home with nothing, not a mind a point,
Score prediction.
John already took the 1-1, so. Do you know what? I don't really want. Yeah. Okay, I'd say 2-2. I'm going to go 2-2 because I think there are games this season where we will score goals. John has spoken about our defensive setup, and I think I saw things on Friday night that made me think there's going to be a few games, maybe more than a few games this year, that we're going to have to win 4-2, 3-2, those kind of scorelines, because I do think there are times and in games where we will concede goals, which is fine. If we have the firepower to score 3 or 4, then it's not a massive issue,
I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go 2-1 to City. And since Boring Keane Coleman again came up with this idea that we contact a fan, he's now getting called at 9 o'clock on a Monday night.
Hello.
Boring Keane, it's Dan. What's the story?
How's it going? Obviously, like all good here. All good here, Dan.
Keane, a good game last week. What were your thoughts on it?
Interesting game. Is prepared as well for the trip to Donegal, Dan. I mean, obviously not happy about missing Saturday night the Tommy Tiernan show, but look, at the end of the day, we're going to have to perform up there and get a result.
Yeah, do you reckon it'll affect your bingo night? I mean, there's a big turnaround there between the Friday up in Ballybuffet and then getting back down.
Should be okay for the Sunday. I spoke about it to Tim, and that was one of the things when there was a bit of a delay in me agreeing to sign back, to be honest with you, Dan, and a lot of it was bingo related, but we sorted it out.
Well, look, Keane, we'll have you on the phone. It'd be rude not to get a prediction for the match. Well, what do you think the score is going to be?
Well, look, as I say, obviously, like, it's going to be a big test of us to go up and get a result and to dig one out. So, obviously, I think 2-1 to Harps.
Keane, best of luck on Friday. Hopefully, your prediction will come true for the fans.
As I say, obviously, like, lads, thanks for the call. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Keane. Thanks. Keane Coleman, everyone, it's great to get him on the pod. Who said Cork City don't let us talk to our players?
Postman Pat, and in black and white cat. The cat makes race. Early in the morning.
Right, Garrett, more excitement than a fart, Barry. Are we as long-time supporters always too miserable and negative towards the club? Case in point, I thought the crowd would be about 2k, but it was 5.5k. Also, there felt a buzz around the cross Friday night. Yeah, I thought it was absolutely amazing. I think I predicted 3.5 on the pod the week before. Decky, were you surprised with the crowd that showed out? And I wouldn't say the atmosphere was amazing, but there was a decent crowd.
Yeah, and there was 5,500 people there. I said I thought they'd get 4,000. I did say, in the build-up that if we're playing well and we're winning games, we will get crowds, and I do honestly believe that. I think opening night, I think the Kerry factor was definitely something. And look, here's the thing. We gave out about the club and not being active on social media and too many games behind closed doors and, this and this. And we said it was a strategy. And you have to say the strategy worked. There was 5,500 people in Turner's Cross on Friday night. So fair play to the club for making that happen, Obviously, there will be other nights in Turner's Cross and there will be other games, and UCD are not an attraction. So that would be an interesting crowd to see what happens there. But somebody's dog is active anyway. Don't like UCD. But
yeah, she hates
him. So look, I think it was a great crowd, great turnout. Hopefully they will all be back. If we can win in Ballybuffet, then we go into that UCD game on the back of 2 wins. And you would imagine that you would pick up another 4,500 for that UCD game. Because the thing is, as I keep saying it, people don't care what division you're in. If you're winning games, you're near the top of the table. Okay, we care because we're living this stuff for 30 years. But the casual supporter, the people who are into it, just want to go see winning football. They want to see teams score goals. They want to be entertained. They want to see players interacting with the crowd and interacting with their kids. And the number of kids waiting outside the dressing room on Friday night for City players was crazy. Unbelievable,
Biggest I've ever seen, I'd say.
Yeah, and they were waiting for Jack Doherty, and understandably so. And there was it was fantastic to see. And yeah, I think if we keep winning, we will we'll keep getting big crowds.
Nick Lopina says average age of LOI sides ... John, I'm not particularly sure what he means by this. I think he means, is it a worry that our side is so young?
No, I think it's more maybe asking the question, are we one of the younger sides in the division? But it's not something I'd be worried about when we've seen the quality of the young players we have. It is quite a young league anyway. But yeah, look, there was a good few young lads in the Kerry team as well. But we have exceptionally good young players, so definitely not a worry for me if we're one of the younger teams overall, because we do have that bit of experience as well going through this squad, like King Coleman, Greg Bulger, Sean Murray, and Nathan Wood looks like he's kind of a talismanic figure up front as well, so I wouldn't be too worried about that.
Dylan comes in and says, why do stewards tell young lads, I'll save the bleep here, Decky, to F off and sit somewhere else as the shed is full?
I don't know. There was something else there about a fight in the back of the shed as well on a Friday night.
There was
a
fella about 50 or 60, like all the, had the ultras, with all the flags and stuff. And I thought that was great to see. And then there was a load of lads, there's 2 or 3 of them shouting at him to put all the flags down, stop waving them. And the flags weren't even in their eye line for when the action was happening. So I didn't get that at all. I just thought people were looking to go and start on a bunch of young lads, to be honest.
Right, okay. Look, I wasn't in there. I can't comment on it. But, I mean, you know what the shed is. If you're going into the shed, yes, there will be flags waving. Yes, there will be songs sung, some of which you might not like. So, like, I stay out of the shed because I don't want to have flags waved in my face and because I don't want to sing and chant and all those things. That's why I go up to the Donny Ford with the Warders Original, and I'm quite happy up there. So, look, I mean, everybody knows at this stage that what the shed is and where it is. So if you're in there and you're giving out about it, just leave and go sit somewhere else. There's a whole ground there you can go sit in,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Jack Gallagher comes in, Cathal O'Sullivan. And are we trusting Clancy's faith in the youth? I think so. I mean, on the back of that performance, you'd have to definitely take it on, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I suppose, look, the thing is, though, you have to mind them as well. Like it was good to get Jaden Ume on for 20 minutes or whatever it was, and not put him in a position like Decky mentioned last week that the game was won, we weren't chasing it. Let him come on. He was able to chance the bicycle kick that nearly went in. Cathal did really, really well, but still only 16, and there's going to be games like up in Harps next week where people will be targeting to kick him up and down the pitch, so you kind of have to mind him as well a little bit, but fantastic young players, yeah.
Yeah. Dylan Hennebury, fight in the back of the shed Friday night. Again, I didn't see this. Worst place in Cork. Sounds like there was a full and scrap in there. I didn't see it, to be honest, Dylan. Topper at the Secret Duffer. Did anyone in the club bother to tell Clonakilty Sausages that the season started on Friday? Chicken burger was so bland, I thought I had COVID again. Sorted out city. #priorities. #sausages. Decky, what an absolute rattling disgrace. The Clonakilty sausage stand wasn't open.
Is it going to open? I don't know. Like, I mean, it was closed for a lot of games last year as well. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, there was a time where, when I was going to say there was a time I asked the club what was happening, you'd be but like, I don't know. I would be surprised if the Clonakilty stand is open for home games this year. Just my opinion, and I would be surprised, but it could well be. But just on what that chap's saying there, I think we said it on one. I think we said it on some pod. I can't remember what we say on what pod, no and whatnot. But Richie will be with us at some stage during the season to do a feature on the food in Turner's Cross. So I'm sure that is something.
Jesus, another lad who'll be banned.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that would interest a lot of people anyway. So I was talking to him lately, and he has confirmed that he's still up for doing it. It's just a matter of when we can all get together to do so, but something to look forward to.
Pure dirt. Are you going to say something there, Decky?
Yeah, I was just going to, because John mentioned Franco Umo when he was talking about Jaden, but just to say congratulations to Franco, because he is on the bench tonight for the first time ever for Crystal Palace. And what a better place for him to make that bench debut than glorious Goodison Park and the Royal Blue of Everton. Well, he can probably not. Look, to be fair, probably not. But...
No. Okay. No, doesn't look like it yet anyway.
Yeah, he's on the bench, so I guess he obviously has some chance of coming on. But look, it's the next step on his on the ladder of his career. So congratulations to him, and the best of luck to him.
Absolutely. A reminder as well. I think this is the first time I've seen it. Is it? I don't know what way people pronounce it. Coughlin's. They're showing the game on Friday night, so it's the first time I've seen like a pub advertise that. So I think that's a really good initiative from all involved there.
Well, that's a Forest meetup, Dan.
Yeah. Is it Forest meetup? Is it only exclusively a Forest meetup?
Oh no, I wouldn't say so. But Jordan Collins might hope that it's not. He's probably wondering about how many people are going to turn up now that he's advertised it. But it's a Forest meetup. They put it out there in the members' mail during the week. So look, I think it's a great initiative. It's really good because it creates somewhere for fans to meet up and chat about the game, watch the game together. So all good, great idea.
Yeah, I think so. I think more pubs around the city should definitely take advantage of it. Decky, you were going to say something?
I was just going to clarify what I said, because I said it was a Forest meetup. It's not a Forest meetup. It's a meetup for any fan who wants to go. It's just organised by Forest under the Forest banner, but it's 100% open to any fan who wants to go watch the game in the company of other Cork City fans.
Perfect stuff. I'll try make my way down there. That concludes our pod. We're third in the table at the moment, behind Athlone and Treaty. Big thank you to our Patreons. Thanks so much to everyone who's joined over the last number of weeks. It's been absolutely huge. You can sign up patreon.com/ToeTap. Lads, do you have any final thoughts for the week ahead?
Can I just say something that I forgot about? Just as people think, thank God the pod is ending, here comes Decky in to keep him probably another 20 minutes, right? But it was just something I noticed Friday night, and nobody's going to care about this, but I just want to make people aware. There's a change in policy in so much that we never post-game and rarely pre-game as well provided players to the media for interview. We never did it in Colin Healy's time post-game. Colin didn't want the players talking to the media. I'm sure it wasn't just Colin's thing, and it was a bone of contention, Dan, and you know this because we used to get some feedback from other journalists and that, especially at the away games. Some of the journalists in Dublin used to be giving out that there was no Cork City players made available to them, etc., etc. That changed on Friday night. Jack Doherty was made available to the press post game, and that's the way it should be. It is written in the participation agreements that manager and a player or two should be available to the press. It's just something we haven't done for the last definitely 2 years. It might be 3 years, but that changed on Friday night. So hopefully post game we will hear from players as the season goes on. Now that looks like how it's going to be anyway.
Yeah, it was good of them as well. They posted the full press conferences from Jack and Tim.
That was interesting as well, Dan, and I'd be interested to see what they do with away games, because they did post it and fantastic, but that is something that we used to do at away games. Remember, you'd go into huddle, or I was at a couple, and we'd just record what was said and we would put it out as audio, and we got some good stick from journalists around the place saying that we shouldn't be putting that audio out, and etc., etc. And we always, I think journalists have kind of fallen out with us over it at one stage, and
they got rightly annoyed at me for stuff at the end of the season, like we're itchy, well, you only get one chance with the Cork City lads a lot of the time, so
that was going to be my point, because City manager only speaks once, and that's to the assembled press. Some of the Dublin lads will talk to the papers first, then they'll talk to any radio, and then they'll talk to any online publication. So there's 3 different goes. Cork City don't do it that way. It's one. So my point is, when we go away, if the club record... No, of course, it's not a big a deal because we're not in the Premier Division now, but long term, they probably need to look at another solution, because they will get negative feedback from journalists if we're back in the Premier Division and say we're up and we're playing Shells or Pats or Rovers, and the club record the questions like they did the other night. The journalists asked them and put out that audio, put out that thing. I presume they'll get the same feedback we got. which was highly negative from people within the industry.
Don't know if they can.
You know, they might have to have, I think about it long term, but at the moment, yes, it's fantastic, and you know, long may it continue.
My opinion is, it's the modern world. If the game happens, you go with it straight away. That is my opinion, and I'll still hold it.
Yeah, and I understand, and I don't disagree with you. And you know, the thing was that I always said to the people who got on to us about it is that there's no point in talking to us. Cork City only do one huddle, and that's it. And we have to take whatever is available in that huddle. Your issues with the club, it's not with us. But look, we're getting into things now that were happening way behind the scenes that nobody ever publicly knew about or needed to hear about, you know. But I just thought it is an interesting change of policy from the club. Of course, that comes down to the fact that they don't have a media partner. Was obviously 96 FM, Red FM are gone, and 96 FM obviously haven't stepped into the breach. That was evident on Friday night. So there is nobody doing all, like there was no, Colin wasn't on the pitch like he was all last year because that was part of the Red FM deal. There's nobody stepped into that breach. So there's nobody doing those
Rory got
interviews
stuff
with him.
for off the ball. And I don't know, is that going to be a continuation over the season or what's the story? But there was no media partner, but he did get him for off the ball on his own.
Oh, no, I understand that because Tim spoke to the journalist, but my point is Red FM Colin would have done that interview, and that was always the first media job that the manager did. They always did that interview with Colin before they went in to meet the rest of the press or whatever it is, and nothing else ever went out online before Column's piece with Red FM went out. They were all parts and parcels of, you know, tie-ups and media partnerships and everything else. All that's gone. So when Rory and those lads are talking to Tim, they're just working for their own outlets, and they can do whatever they want with that audio whenever they want, you know. So,
okay.
But it's good to have options and good to have people putting stuff out, definitely.
John, any final thoughts? Hopefully we won't go into big a spiel of that now this time, but
no, just thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to listening when Wayne's back.
Perfect stuff. There's nothing else left to say, but adios, amigos.
Adios.
Adios.